Hi Gemini, welcome to the first half of February 2017. This is a general tarot scope for the first 2 weeks of the month of February, and there's going to be a lunar eclipse on February 10th in your 10th house. Why did I say 10th house? In your third house of communication. That's your natural house, Gemini. So all issues surrounding communication, as well as your local area, your extended family, your siblings, these areas can be affected by this lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse tends to bring things out of your life. So it could be, for example, one area of the third house has to do with writing. All right, so you may be bringing your writing into the world. You may be, maybe you're finishing a novel. Maybe you're finishing some kind of course of studies, because sometimes the third house can relate to learning. So see what transpires. It may not be that big of an influence if you don't have a personal planet that is being hit by that eclipse, but I just wanted to let you know about that. And let me see here. It's really amazing. I'm drawing that card over and over again. You also have this transit until October of Jupiter in your fifth house of romance. So, I have that Lover's card, smack dab in the middle there. So that might be a time, sometime this year. And even with that full moon, there's a friendly angle between Jupiter and that lunar eclipse in the fifth house, so the third to the fifth. So what could be happening with that? Well, we're talking about possibly, maybe there's somebody in your local area that is a friend or, a neighbor, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is, my soulmate, something like that. That could be, and oh yeah, this is a soulmate card. What am I talking about here? Now, this is a general reading, so I am going to include possible professional influences with these cards. But this is definitely a card associated with soulmate energy. And it can be also the past. So anything to do with your, childhood or adolescence. And they always say like a simpler time, that this is a nostalgic card, or a card of nostalgia being kind of generated. This could involve a Cancer or other water sign like a Scorpio or Pisces individual who is stirring your feelings at a very deep level. It could also be, because this is a soulmate energy, this could even be children being featured. But in the job area, for those of you for whom romance doesn't resonate, it could be that you're going back to do something that you've always wanted to do. And you may, for some people, it may be that you're kind of almost like, I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to fit into something else, and, it's not working. I was just thinking about that this afternoon, about how, many jobs I applied for, how many things. And then suddenly when I had the idea to do this, it's like everything shifted. My whole life shifted. And this isn't a childhood dream of mine, but it is something that it's been since I was, in my 20s, that I've, not to be an astrologer, but just to be, very interested in it. And so there may be things that some of you are also, and it might have to do with writing, that might be, maybe that lunar eclipse is a revelation that you have, that this is what, that you came here to do, that you came here to be a writer, and you've been trying to, maybe you're like an English teacher or something like that, and you're reviewing other people's writings, or teaching other people's writings, but you want to do it yourself. And so there is, and I get this card over and over again, so I'm getting the feeling that I'm here to tell you that you should definitely, honor those feelings that you've had for many years. It doesn't mean you have to do something foolish. It could be something you do on the side, but at least get that kind of thing started. And also with soulmates, honoring that level of commitment. It's not commitment, it's interaction with somebody romantically, and not just settling for an affair or settling for one of those relationships where you're playing a part. You're playing parents, father and mother, or you're playing husband and wife, and you have these very defined roles, but it's not an authentic relationship. In the recent past, we have the Hierophant card. This connects to the sign of Taurus, but in terms of the symbolism of this card, its meaning, this is about, it can be about marriage, and the other possibilities are just, organized religion and other institutions that give our life structure and meaning. It can also be about higher, it could be about higher learning too. So going back to that eclipse too, that could be, although the 9th house is more about higher learning, the 3rd house is the opposite house of the 9th house. And because there is a full moon, that means there's an opposition, so the 9th house is being activated as well. The sun is in the 9th house. And so that means that there may be a conflict. Maybe you're, questioning whether or not to pursue something, go back to college, for instance, or to just pursue something that you've always wanted to do. You may be kind of like going back and forth with your education, with your job, and trying to find ways to enhance what you're doing. And, this may come up as a bit of a dilemma. Also, this card represents just your philosophical framework. And maybe you're starting to get more interested in spiritual matters, or at least look at it through a lens that's not just from the physical, material level of whatever it is that you're, doing or involved with, And let me see other things. This is what's coming in too. So this could be an actual new position. That's a new job offer. And if it's a relationship, maybe it is with a Taurus, because a Taurus is an earth sign, and that's connected to the Pentacles. But it can be, it's possible for some people that they are, maybe, if this is a business situation, you're kind of on the fence of whether or not to work for somebody else or work for yourself. And you're getting this temptation because maybe you get an offer from somebody else. It could just be a business loan. Sometimes the Ace of Pentacles indicates money that you receive. And it could either be for a business endeavor, or you just get it from, it shows the clouds. You get it from a source that you didn't expect. And I keep forgetting to show this, but there is a portal or a door. So it shows that there's, aces are beginnings. So by having this, you're, you know, poised to enter a new phase in one area of your life, which can be very exciting because you may have a lot of connection to this. Maybe in the past you were doing things that you weren't really crazy about, and now you are connecting more to what you're doing. The higher message is the Lover's card. This is actually connected to the sign of Gemini. Sometimes it indicates a choice. So as I said, which I kind of already suspected, that some of you have a choice. You may, you know, and this is one of those maddening things that happens. And I think it is related to the law of attraction, because when you let go of resistance, things start to open up. And it's kind of like when a woman has trouble conceiving, she ends up adopting, and so she lets go of that resistance and ends up getting pregnant, because she was able, the whole purpose of her even wanting to be pregnant was because she wanted to raise a child. And once she did so, even if it wasn't her own DNA, that allowed her to let go of that resistance to, you know, conceiving, which can sometimes happen when you're too controlling over whatever you're trying to do. So if you're trying to find a job and you're just getting really uptight about it, and let's say you decide, you know what, I'm just going to work for myself, and then all of a sudden this amazing opportunity comes about. And it's an offer, it's a job offer, and you're sorely tempted by it because maybe it pays better than you've ever had, or maybe it's just like a very pleasant environment. But if that is a dilemma, it's because there is something that has shifted in you that no longer will accept anything. And so you might be like, why does this have to happen now? What you can, you know, one way to play that out is to ask yourself, can I do both? Do I, you know, I could accept this job and do whatever I'm really passionate about on the side if they're not connected to what it is that I'm being offered. But I don't have to do everything at once. I mean, I don't have to make one choice over another necessarily. Sometimes you don't have to make the choice. In personal relationships, this can indicate that you take a friendship to the next level, or when I say friendship, it will probably be someone from your past, and this becomes an intimate relationship. So if you have reunited with somebody from, you know, back in the day, and this may, I think this could even play out because we did have a solar eclipse in Virgo, which is your 4th house, and that has to do with home and family. So that could be, you know, something may have occurred in the fall, in September, and it can play out for months afterwards. That has to do with a new beginning in that area. Perhaps there are 2 people that you're choosing from. Could be a water sign, so that would be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or it could be an earth sign. I mentioned Taurus, but it could also be a Virgo or Capricorn individual. And I'll just keep going and seeing what happens. But in the work situation, I just wanted to say that it could also be about having a partner for your business. You may decide that that is more helpful for you because maybe you're trying to do something like open a boutique or something, and you need you thought you could go it alone, and you realize that it helps to have somebody there who can share in the expenses as well as work different hours than you, and you can get some time off. What crosses you is the Justice card. So issues of fairness coming up. I connect the Justice card to Libra. So if there's a person that is a Libra or has Libra prominent in their astrological makeup, they may be not giving you what you need in some way. And it could also have to do with legal matters. It could have to do with, if you're trying to start something, or maybe you're trying to sever ties with an employer, and maybe they're I don't know, like you're trying to get a severance pay or something like that, and they're not being fair. Or you're working at a job where you're not feeling that you're being treated fairly. It could be one of those things. In your personal life, it could have to do with, let's say you're making a choice, and part of it has to do with a spouse. One of the people might be your partner, your current partner. And so consulting a lawyer or any kind of dealings may be difficult at this time for some reason. Maybe you don't want to make that choice, and so it's something that feels wrong to you, and so you're resisting it. The advice is what's coming in is the Devil card. This can connect to the sign of Capricorn, so that's an earth sign. But it could be that, and I remember I got this in a recent reading for another sign, and I was thinking the same thing. This can be about excessive materialism, greed. For some people, you may be afraid of losing. That may be why you're adverse to getting divorced, because you don't want to have to pay out too much or something like that. And other people, it may be simply that you're dealing with somebody who is showing that side of themselves, obsessive, greedy, materialistic. Could be a sexual addiction in terms of a relationship that is very physically passionate but not good for you. And, the Lover's card, even though it's a very explicit card in terms of the nudity, it's not necessarily about sexuality, but it can be. It can definitely be about that. So that may have been the higher message to show you that you're involved in a relationship that's based around sex. And that kind of a situation, it could even throw off the balance of the relationship. One person may have a feeling of power over the other because of it, and may use their sexuality even as a means to control the other. The outcome is the Wheel of Fortune. If you're dealing with business matters, the Devil card is about possibly staying with one employer because the money is too good. You're addicted to the money. However, the Wheel of Fortune suggests that you're really becoming aligned, and so you no longer have to fear lack. And so, a lot of times people stay in unhappy environments because they fear the alternative, and they don't really honor their unhappiness in a particular situation enough, and they don't realize the toll it takes on them. And so, when you're just thinking in terms of dollars and cents, unfortunately, you overlook your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, and your physical well-being. People can, being in the wrong environment can affect people's health. So how much is it worth? Can you really bottom line that? No. There's no real way of calculating that. So at some point we have to be willing to walk away from things that are damaging or potentially damaging in order to have something that is much more harmonious. But obviously it may not be something that some people can do instantaneously. They may have to work their way into it because they may have children to raise or bills to pay. I'm not saying that everybody leave their job tonight, but just to at least welcome it into your reality that that's what you want to do, and that there are very specific reasons why you think it's affecting you adversely. And so the Wheel of Fortune is saying, you know, you have that great, you know, vibe or cycle that's coming in for you. And it's also connected to the planet Jupiter. So if we look at where Jupiter is in your chart, and I had started this reading saying it was in the 5th house, then that would suggest that, because the 5th house is the house of love, falling in love and love affairs, but it's also the house of creativity as well as home businesses. And so that can be a very expansive influence for you in 2017, and something to definitely look into while you have such a lucky transit in the 5th house. So that may suggest that you expand your income base by expanding your, you know, whatever your hobbies are, because the 5th house is also hobbies, into possibly making a living from it, from the things that you enjoy doing. So Gemini, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you would like a personal reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great first half of February. Bye.